The overall intent of the fair use doctrine is the protection of free speech. The new work must comment on the original work being used. It is not sufficient that the new work simply be a use made with the intent to be funny.
Running for president. Yes. What made you decide to do that? Aren't you busy enough? Clothing company, successful rapper, family man.
It was something that God put on my heart back in 2015. A few days before the MTV Awards, it hit me in the shower. And when I first thought of it, I just started like laughing to myself. And it like all this like joy came over my body, just through my soul. And I just felt that energy, I felt that spirit. So then 2 days later, I accepted the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Awards at the MTV Awards, and instead of performing, my array of hit songs, I gave just my perspective on award shows, but always I knew at the end I was going to tell people I'm running for office, I'm running for president in 2020, and just to have it even took heart to say it in that context, and people were just like, oh, like their minds were blown. And then I was hanging out with I had different friends that were, some people in the music industry, some people tech elites, different things like that. They would really, they just really took it as a joke, and they're telling me all these millions of reasons why I couldn't run for president. I remember running into Oprah 2 days or 1 day after that. She's like, you don't want to be president. And people just, thought projecting, putting this on you. And I remember saying, one of my responses to one of the people one of the naysayers was, well, I'll definitely be a billionaire by that time. And not that that's a reason why someone should become president, but it's to say, at that time I was around $50 million in debt, and I knew I had the confidence that I would be able to turn that around. And now, just going into, I want to just give you that's a clear answer.
Right. I know what you're saying.
I don't want to go off into it.
No, it's okay. What you're basically saying is you know to set goals, you know to achieve. What was Oprah's rationale when she said, you don't want to be the president? Like, what was she saying? Because I remember when people were saying that's our next president. Remember when Trump got elected, they showed Oprah and they were saying, like, I believe it was like NBC tweeted it. This is our next president. Like, a lot of people wanted Oprah to run. They felt like if Trump could win, Oprah could win.
When I saw Trump win, I was like, see, you can win. You can win if you're coming from outside of politics. I was young when Ronald Reagan was president. I don't remember.
But Ronald Reagan was the governor of California before he was the president. He had actually proven himself as a politician, at least somewhat.
Which is an idea that people have thrown out to
be governor of California?
To be governor of California.
So anyone's better than this guy. just go ahead, start there. Get a shot. Open things up again, man.
But I think my calling is to be. I believe that my calling is to be the leader of the free world. If it's in God's plan, that part of my path is to be the governor, that's fine. But my calling is to be the leader of the free world.
So when you say your calling is to be the leader of the free world, what does that mean to you? Does it mean that you have a plan that's different than the plans that have been implemented before? Does it mean that you have ideas?
What kind of plan?
Like the plan to be the leader. Like what would you do if you were a leader of the free world? Like what would be different about the way you would handle things? Like if that's your plan, like what is it about that is your calling? Like why would you want to do that? Like what do you want to be different?
There was a couple questions in there. You said, why is that your calling? There's people who will say to me, they'll say, well, music is bigger than politics or more influential. invited down Trump, down Biden. I'm just here to express why God has called me to take this position.
So when you say a visionary, you think of yourself in terms of like as an artist, as a creator, someone who has these thoughts that they manifest in terms of music and art and creation, design, the things that you do. That's why you think you're different as a visionary.
Yeah, I think I'm different from. I mean, we're all different. So I'm definitely different from everybody. We're all different from each other. I mean, I do bump into people that seem to be like the same character inside of.
Yeah,
it's like.
I've seen people before.
Yeah, that people play the same roles. Like, man, I just met you before. You're just like the head of this company over here. You're the same kind of person. Yeah, I manifest. I see things. I'm a great leader because I listen and I'm empathetic and I feel the entire earth and I feel us as a species, as the human race. Like sometimes people think that utopia as almost like a negative word. That's like we couldn't have that, but I do believe in world peace. Like people hit me with one of the things Oprah said is she said you gotta own up on your foreign affairs. I remember this. Like that was Oprah, so I remember a lot of what the conversation was. But that's the first thing she said was foreign affairs, foreign policy. Like just I think the reason why I say leader and not politician and not even specifically a president is this is the time. When the Constitution was written, that was an innovation. Now, the world is innovated all around our political system. We haven't innovated and simplified our political system. So I met with this gentleman, Sam, one of the founders of Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is a contract that my friend, the head of Dropbox, used, and that a lot of tech guys use, and it's a standardized deal. So one of the ideas I had when I was as I'm in this process of innovating, I'm not at war with the music industry. It's time for us to innovate, and we need to have contracts that make sense with exactly how we sell music. So people every decennium, and that's like every 20 years, it's like the decade is 10, decennium is 20, and as you see now that the world just stopped for a second, and there's an opportunity to look and say, what are the things we need, what are the things we don't need. So I don't know if you saw when I posted my contract, I had 10 contracts that kept on putting me inside a labyrinth, and there's things that we don't need. Now I believe that the distribution partner that the label is, like Prince would go and say, oh, we don't need the distribution partner, especially if Prince was, really alive and thriving in this internet era. I'm the kind of person where I'm not trying to go and eliminate anyone's job. So record labels are afraid of saying, okay, we're going to hand over the distribution completely to you guys, which is, that's a possibility. There's a way where both parties can be happy and that these infrastructural partners can be of service to the influencer, to the artist. Like these deals can be flipped in a way that they're just more fair. A record, let me just go into the specific place with the record labels for a second.
Yeah, please do.
I'm talking about that
because it's a confusing thing for people on the outside.
Yeah. So before, when I told my father I wanted to rap, he was very leery of that idea. He said that this I heard this business is terrible, and he's right. Like people are all seeing things that are wrong inside of contracts, turning blind eyes to it, and everyone's responsible. Everyone's a part of it. It's like when the Me Too movement happened. It wasn't just the guys that were getting tagged, and some of the guys should have got hit with it, some guys shouldn't. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm saying that in a way, everyone's responsible. Everyone's a part of the problem. That's why I really love that Black Mirror episode when, everyone was making comments, and anyone that even made a comment, the bees, it was about these, mechanical bees. Anyone, and this is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen this episode, but anyone who made a comment, the bees came to go get them. And that's the thing about what you put in the universe, even a thought, you put that thought into the universe. It's another thing to say something negative and put that into the universe. It's another thing to see someone being raped. That's the reason why I compare what's happening in the music industry to Me Too, because artists are raped. You've heard that term before. This is not like a new thing that I'm making up. The contracts are made to rape the artist. And I put I think about, this is like a thought that right now, it's just a negative thought that I'm putting into the universe. But I have to say, when I was going on Twitter, I was thinking about Bruce and Brandon Lee. That crossed my mind to say, this is Sony, this is Universal, and I'm willing to put the blue paint on my face and go out and do this because it's the right thing to do. Music, at this point, it loses me money. It doesn't make me money. It is my $5 billion net worth and $300 million in cash that I see a year. Music is negative $4 million to me. So these contracts to me were kind of like Wayne Bro and Heat, where this guy had everything, but he still said, Wayne Bro messed up this heist that we're gonna do. I look at the music industry, not music and the love of music itself, but the music industry, I look at it like Wayne Bro, I blame, the loss of my mother, partially on the entertainment industry. The always fighting to, represent, who you are against media, entertainment industry that's trying to tear down anybody that's not going with the flow. I see, I've got those kind of reasons personally, but vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So it's not about everyone in for revenge. That's just me as a human being where I fall short. I'm not.
Can you explain what you're talking about with Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee?
Okay, so Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee were both murdered.
Well, Brandon Lee died in an accident on a movie set.
Yeah.
You think it was a murder?
I felt
that's a conspiracy, right? The conspiracy was that the Chinese triad killed him the same way they killed Bruce. But the coroner's report was that Bruce died from a reaction to a medication, right?
Yeah, but I think about that anytime I go to the hospital. I'm very, I'm mindful of that stuff. You think about Bob Marley, they didn't just JFK or MLK him. There's reports that it was something in his toe or cancer. Yeah, I went to go. I got a shot in my hand. But then I protested after just texted way too much. So I posted a picture of the screen at the hospital, and then I was asked to take it down.
By who?
People just called me. I'm forgetting exactly who asked me, but it was they got to my management, they got to this, and he said, take that picture down. The hospital, it was in the weirdest place. So
what did they not like about the picture?
I think it might have had some information on it that they didn't want to go out, like an address or something like that. And it's just but I don't want to go down these rabbit holes. I'm just saying, Michael Jackson not waking up one day.
All the castles in the sky.
Bob Marley.
Oh, tell me why
have crossed my mind.
do we build castles in the sky? Oh, tell me why. All the castles made of ice. Tell me why.
put themselves in harm's way to stay the mass. And that there's a complete parallel to the way the music industry works and the way the world currently works, and the influence that America has on other countries, and the way government works. The influence and the way government and the way people in power, in control, deal with, disaster relief, deal with hate, deal with the bomb. Like, where is the money going? Why aren't things being built? And this concept, right? I asked myself this, I asked someone weeks ago, like, how much is America in debt? And they're like, this many trillion. And then I asked a rhetorical question, but the dumbest question I've ever asked myself. I said, well, how much does the earth cost? Think
Not a bad question.
But
how much is the earth worth?
Yeah, what is the earth worth? What is
all the things on earth?
Yeah, and it's saying we can't buy it. We couldn't make enough money to buy the earth, right? So that means we made money. So if money is the key to all people's happiness and will solve everything, and everyone's doing things for money, let's just make more money. But it's not about making more money. It's about keeping poor people poor and rich people rich, and keeping people in their place. And right now, we're experiencing the fall of Rome, or the Titanic has now hit a glacier. And there's people who would prefer to go down with the Titanic than to get on a lifeboat because they don't want to get seawater on their dress or on a nice outfit. The people are so programmed and brainwashed into classism and protectionism that it's difficult for people to embrace innovation unless it has a tag on it. It's got a name brand connected to it that says, with this innovation, you will be better than the person, you'll be better than your next door neighbor. When I made Sunday service, I completely stopped rapping because I didn't know how to rap for God. All my raps always had like nasty jokes on it, and then when I went to the hospital. I know you want to get into this. When I went to the hospital in 2016, I wrote Start a Church in Calabasas. And as we left from 2018 going into 2019, I said, I'm not going to let one Sunday go by without starting this church. And there's people who said it wasn't a church and different things, but to start a ministry, I'm like the little drummer boy where I'm saying, this is all I got to bring, my drum. I might not be well versed in the word, but I know how to make music, and I know how to put this choir together, and all things can be made good for God. So it quickly became the best choir of all time because all the best singers moved to California. But a lot of them grew up in the church, so it's like the opportunity for them to actually get paid singing for God because I would be funding it. And that to me was like a tie for me to fund Sunday service. And I was 4 months in before I gave my life to God. Like, I wasn't saved, it's just I had a calling saying, just go make this church. And the whole thing, the comparison to this church to me going and saying, okay, why am I running for president, is to be in service, not service to my own ego. I feel like God says to me, like, haven't I given you enough? I gave you an ego that helped you overcome all these, roadblocks and smoke screens and people telling you what you can't do. Now you need to realize when you're doing things for your ego and when you're doing things for me, this is like God, what I feel God is saying to me. Because it really irritates me when people say, God told me to tell you. So I'm very mindful with this kind of word. I'm saying I have a feeling that that's what God is saying for me to be in service. So the ultimate service position is leader of the free world, to be the president of the United States. Sometimes you see me on Twitter, I say I want all the smoke, I want all the problems, because the problems are the opportunities. It's an opportunity to solve things. And Kurzweil, he created the keyboard Kurzweil, ability for us to have a utopia, but us being led by the least noble and the most greedy. But if someone, or when someone gets in a position of leadership that is in service to God and in service to people, period, but immediately the American people, I had a joke, I was saying like, man, no one outside of our country should be able to see these debates. This is family business right here. This is only for America to see. We can't let anyone outside the country see. But to be in service. So I stepped away already from my rap career for a year and served God every week, sometimes twice a week, 3 times a week, never missed a Sunday until COVID. And this is the thing, there were people inside of the church stealing, doing different things, trying to just take them, and God still provided a way for us to keep that boat afloat. We never missed a service. And then one of my pastors, Pastor Adam, who is the way he preaches is called expository. It's like 1-to-1 by the word. Now, I like all different kind of preachers, but there's some type of preachers, they get up, they have the Bible in their hand, and they close the Bible, and then they just talk for 2 hours. And some do have anointing, but the expository preachers go line for line. And for me, it's like, I come from entertainment. I got so much sauce. I don't need no sauce on the word. I need the word to be solid food that I can understand exactly what God was saying to me through the King James Version, through this, through this translation or the English Standard Version. So Pastor Adams was coming by my spot. I got this 300-acre spot in Calabasas that we had a little house in that I was recording. And I would play this music, these chords that I love. They're almost like monk-like. And that's going to go into something we'll talk about later, because I'm building a monastery. I'm building a monastery that would then be the future of monasteries. It's like full sustainable energy. Now, he says to me, Pastor Adam says to me, when I was thinking about should I rap or not, he said, my son just said, I want to hear Ye rap, do an album about Jesus, a rap album about Jesus. And it was through the mouth of babes. Like, this person, I'm going to listen to the kids, bro. I'm going to listen to my daughter. I'm going to listen to kids before I listen to, super programmed out adults. And especially if that adult hasn't done something that I am looking to do. Right. So it's so funny how people are so like free and almost arrogant with their advice. And I'm just like, why would I listen to you? You don't even ask me for any advice. I'm the most successful person I know. So so he said my son wants to hear a rap album from Ye. And that was the paradigm shift for me. I use that word a lot. I like that. I like paradigm shift. That's one of my favorite. And I made this rap album, and for a lot of people, it was the first album that they could play with a certain production level in the house with their family. Now, you could argue if the Watch the Throne production was stronger or better than Jesus is King production. But when I go and I've been working with Dr. Dre, and some of the beats would just be like, the hardest beats possible. And it's something that was very spiritual and meditative about the mix on Jesus is King, that it wasn't hitting as hard as Jesus or hitting as hard as Watch the Throne. It was like, this is how God wanted me to make this sonic painting, and the way he wanted me to communicate. And so we did that album, and then we did the Jesus is Born album, which also I got that idea from Pastor Adams. And I mean, there's people who that's the only album they play, and it's just bringing these gospel. And I tell you, like, my formula for these hymns I'm writing, because I'm writing the songs that we're doing at Sunday service is basically my book of hymns for the future gospel university that I'm creating. facility, and they will train the way, a Russian Olympic swimmer, I picture like they would be in the pool 6 days a week at least, if not 7 days. But for people who sing for the church, or, because it's a tide, it's pro bono, it's all this, like, people don't practice that as much as we practice going to studio to rap, or practice playing basketball if we're in the NBA. So it's making the NBA, so to say, the Coliseum for God. And what that, have you like heard like soccer chants, and and just like 60,000 person. So I envision that for God, 100,000 people, sometimes singing in harmony, sometimes in unison. Glory, glory, oh God Almighty, we lift our hands and give praise.
The overall intent of the Fair Use Doctrine is the protection of free speech. The new work must comment on the original work being used. It is not sufficient that the new work simply be a use made with the intent to be funny.